Welcome to Colleague Access to Finance webinar. Discover funding opportunities for agribusiness by navigating online platform. We will present 5 different platforms where you are able to gather information about available funding opportunities. Thank you very much for joining us today. I've already seen more than 60 people connecting. Thanks a lot. Please feel free to introduce yourself in the chat so that we can already, while we wait for the others. So our agenda for today's session is as follows. We'll begin with a 10-minute overview covering what Colleagues is and our mission, as well as the context and objective of this webinar, why we're doing it after all. We'll also briefly explain how we develop it. Moving on, we will dive into various funding platforms, the 5 you are seeing right now, the different on the screen, including African Food Changemakers, Agribusiness Dealroom, MSME Financing Gateway, ISF Fund database, and Development Aid, which takes approximately 30 minutes. And in the final 10 to 15 minutes, we will summarize the key takeaways from today's session, highlight colleague support and resources, and open the floor for any remaining questions in the Q&A session. The total length of this webinar will be less than 1 hour, and we are excited to have you with us today as we introduce 5 different platforms for searching funding opportunities. I'm seeing like over 100 people joining in already. Thanks a lot for your interest in this topic. Before introducing who we are as co-lead, I would like to open the floor for you. Please feel free to write in the chat right now what you hope to gain from this webinar. My colleague, please, will be monitoring the chat and will select a few that are very interesting and to share with the rest of the audience. All right, the floor is yours, please.
Thank you, Wei Ting. So do not hesitate to share your expectations from this webinar. Of course, we have a pretty clear idea of what we are willing to share with you today, but we want to make sure we are all aligned here. And this is the opportunity for us to hear what are your expectations. So please feel free to send them in the Q&A or in the chat. In the meantime, some of the questions that we've already received in the registration forms, they will be addressed at the end of this webinar. Thanks already for your interest. So I read from Richard Foti: to be able to find the best finance source for agribusinesses and some knowledge of financial management for agribusinesses. So I think we will address the first part of it, i.e. being able to find the best finance sources for agribusinesses. So today the goal, as Wei Ting will be presenting in a few seconds, is really to focus on the platforms that are offering listing databases, repositories of funding opportunities. So those platforms are listing the investment funds, the banks, all the grants sources that you might find interesting. Today, we will not speak about how to get prepared. We will not speak about what is the best source of funding for your specific business, but we will explore those platforms. Wei Ting will further explain in a few seconds. I see another question from another expectation from Mezai. I hope to get how to match our agribusiness ventures with grant focus. So we will look at the platform Development Aid that is specifically focusing on grants. How to access funding sources from Samson and ease to finance to access, especially startup and agribusinesses. Well, we will partially go over this, but I think it's not the most important focus of this webinar here today. I see from Ernest: to broaden my scope of knowledge on funding opportunities. I think it will indeed contribute to this, Ernest. From Tayo: looking for how to secure grants to improve farmers' knowledge on soil nutrition improvement. This is very specific, Tayo. Thanks for this expectation. So we will surely present you with platforms listing grants that might be relevant for you. Okay, thanks a lot, everyone, for sharing your expectations. It's great to see that so many of you are active here, and we'll do our best to address them. Please be reassured that everything that's not covered today during the webinar is feeding ourselves in creating new material to also share the knowledge. So every feedback we will receive, we will have a look at it and see how we can better target it for next time. Thank you, everyone.
All right, thanks a lot, please. And thanks for the audience for sharing your thoughts with us. Without further ado, let's get this webinar started. So a quick introduction of myself. I'm Wei-Ting Yao, project manager at Access to Finance with CoLead. And for those who hasn't heard about CoLead before, you might wonder like who we are. So CoLead, or Committee Linking Entrepreneurship Agriculture Development, is a nonprofit organization, a network for growth, and toolbox for development. For over 50 years, we've been working in the horticulture sector, but also expanding in agri-food industry. Among them, 20 years implementing and designing programs for our main donors, as you can see on the right side. Our mission is to facilitate and implement all actions that are directly or indirectly increasing the contribution of agriculture sector and horticulture sector to the achievement of SDGs. We provide technical assistance, free online and on-site trainings, and other support tools, including access to finance, monetary regulation and standards, market insights, etc. And for this, we rely on our internal team of 70 people gathered across 4 offices in Belgium, where we are connecting from today, France, Kenya, and Togo. And we rely on also over on more than 1,200 experts in worldwide to help you on the areas you would need help. For instance, business and management, but also more technical, such as crop protection, plant health, and many more. So on the topic of access to finance, over years working with our stakeholders, CoLead has structured a support path tailored to guide your business through every step with essential tools and resources to become investment ready. Depending on the maturity of your project, you can be from the very left before not having a validated business model to the end having a matchmaking between you and the funding providers. We've developed a range of resources to support you, as you can see on the bottom of the slides, from webinars, self-learning, some online courses, some collective training, and post-training support. But today, we are only focusing on discovering funding opportunities for agribusiness by navigating online platforms, which is designed for those who are very confident and have get ready with their business plan and financial plans, but they still face some challenges in finding the right funding opportunities. So for the rest of the audience, if you haven't got your business model validated, if you still are struggling with preparing your business plan or financial plan, we suggest you check out our other different resources, which you will find the link at the end of this webinar or in the slides we'll be sharing afterwards. So let's get back to our webinar today and take a closer look in the next slide. So what kind of struggle you might have when navigating those platforms. And so in order to obtain some relevant external funding, you usually start with some preparation that includes what we have already talked about: business model validation, business plan, and financial plan preparation. And thinking which type of funding you might be useful for your project. So that includes debt, equity, grant, etc. And once you have that figured out, that's all of the essential homework to be done before starting to applying for actual funding. And you might wonder what's next. So you might talk to people you know, or hire some experts to find the money. You might also go to some conferences, events to network with the potential founders. And then you also potentially do some online search by using search engine or going to the official website of the financial institutions that you may be aware of. But you also might be using some certain funding databases that are available, which is our today's focus. And of course, this is not the end of this journey. Once you found some financial options that seemed right for you, it's still you still need to make sure everything about your project is complied with the requirements. You need to answer some questions from people giving out the funding. But today, we will only look at searching source of funding via online platforms. And among all the platforms, we're introducing 5 of them that cover different types of fundings and regions. You might have heard one or few of them when you're looking at the screen, or even have tried to use them, but you might still encounter some challenges and problems, as we will cover in the next slide. So I've heard you saying, yeah, I had no clue that there were so many funding options out there, or I've spent a lot of time looking for the information on how to actually use those platforms. And I spent more time picking the right funding opportunities than actually taking those time that I could have used to apply for funds. And lastly, you might also encounter the same experience as I do sometimes, like drowning in the sea of information about funding opportunities, not knowing where I should go for the right direction. But rest assured, we are here to help you to navigate through these challenges and make the most of your online funding search by introducing you to 5 different platforms and showing you how to use them effectively, and providing the instructions and additional resources to simplify your journey, guiding you in selecting the most relevant platform to your needs, and most importantly, to simplify the complex information so that you can choose what is suitable for your project. So based on what we have observed, all those challenges, we have searched different platforms that might be relevant with your funding opportunities research in agribusiness for MSME. We start by identifying around 10 different platforms relevant to the SMEs in the Africa, Caribbean, and Pacific regions. Of course, there are many other platforms that contain the information about funding, but we have already filtered those who have limited information for you. And we deep dive into each platform, assessing various factors such as whether they are focused on agriculture, how many available languages they have, what kind of geographic scope they're covering. We also consulted our local experts about their experience using the platform. From our analysis, we decided to present to you the 5 platforms and that we believe that best meets your need. But before we proceed, I would like to quickly mention that all funding platforms introduced in this webinar are independent entities. Collead doesn't have any direct affiliation or operation connection with them. Our role is to facilitate, to share the information, and to provide resources to bridge the gap between companies and available funding opportunities. You can find the full list of the funding databases that we have researched in the appendix of the presentation slides, which will be sent to your email address you used to register this webinar. If you have specific questions or need further assistance with this platform, we recommend reaching out to this platform directly to their support teams or their contacts. So after understanding the context and the development of this webinar, I hope you grow a bit more interest in the content of today's session. And before we proceed deep diving into each platform, we have a Zoom poll question for you. Let me just quickly launch the... All right, as you can see on your screen, we have a question about, have you used any of the following funding platforms before? You can select multiple options here, including African Food Changemakers, Agribusiness Dealroom, MSME Financing Gateway, ISF Fund Database, and Develop Aid. You can also choose that, yes, you might have used it, but like it's a different platform, or no, but you're looking forward to exploring all those platforms. Right, I see answers are coming in, and
I see that a vast majority of you have never explored any of those platforms, so it's a good thing that we're presenting them to you today. So out of approximately 90 people answering, 70 of them have never explored those platforms. So it will be a first. I see some of you have already used African food Changemakers. Some of you have already used Agribusiness Dealroom. Just one person, MSME Finance Gateway. 3 of you ISF advisors, 5 of you development aids. And for the rest, no, but looking forward to exploring them.
And I've also seen some people saying like they have used different platforms. If you can specify in the chat so that we can also get a bit more knowledge about it, that will also be appreciated. And I think the whole audience will be interested in knowing that as well. All right, I guess we will not spend way too much time in this poll. I'm gonna close it now. But thanks a lot for the more than 100 people answering this. It's good to have the idea about like the current situation about like how you use the funding platforms. And so let's take a closer look at the 5 platforms we've handpicked for you, each offering some unique features to support your funding journey. Like we have mentioned earlier, we focused on whether they have ARPI focus, and the available languages on their website, the type of funding they focus, the number of source of funding they have compiled on the platform, and lastly, the geographic scope. So if they have any focused region or country. And so among all these platforms, you have 3 that have focused on agriculture. So Agri-Food Changemaker, Agribusiness Dealroom, and ASF Fund Database. And you also have some of them offering different language options. But for you, today, I guess all of the platforms are interesting for you because we're in English-speaking audience. And for type of funding, we have Development Aid that is specifically designed for all the grant opportunity, while the rest of them are covering multiple types of funding. And you have also various funding opportunities on different platforms. And regarding the geographic scope, I have to mention that's the MSME financing gateway is only available in 5 East African countries, while the rest you have more African regional scope or even like globally coverage. And once you receive the slides within end of next week, you can easily access those platforms by clicking on each logo that we have already inserted the hyperlinks under it. And after the overview, I know you have been waiting for this moment. Same for us. We can't wait to show you each one of them in live demo, so that you can see how it can benefit your search of funding. So let's get started with our first platform we are going to introduce, African Food Changemaker. So you might be familiar with how it looks, and especially for those who were answering the poll saying that you have used it. We've briefly explained like why it'd be interesting for you in the coming minutes, but first of all, we're going to start with a live demo. So this is how it looks when you open the website, African Food Changemakers. You can do it in the search engine, and you will see this sometimes from time to time, and they will change pop-up windows, but that's not relevant for us today. What's relevant, what's interesting for us today is under the navigation bar opportunities, financial support. We click on that, and you will see this is the main page of it. And on the top right, if I can quickly, that's all right. The zoom in function is not working as I would expect, but if you look at the top right, you will find English, French, and Portuguese. So multiple language available, especially for Portuguese speaker. You might be today it might be interesting for you. And then you will find the main navigation bar here in the middle of this page, where this is possible to search by keyword. And then here you have focus area, you have a lot of different topics, which I would suggest you when you do the research, you can choose multiple of them at the same time. So for instance, I choose agribusiness, MSMEs, food business, food safety, etc. And you can also choose the funding type by investment, by grants, by loans, venture capital, etc. But today here, I'm not going to choose any specific funding type just to see like what is going to be available for this search. So if I click on the search, and then you will see there is SME Impact Fund that is available in Tanzania, and it has a rolling deadline, so you can apply it without any stress. And it provides loans. And then if I click on apply, that will lead you to the official website of SME Impact Fund, and more specifically about what they're offering to SMEs. So this is very intuitive, and I would say it's quite user-friendly, and you have quite a lot of options. If I scroll down here, the Baobab network, for instance, and some foundations as well. And sometimes they will also have some like prize or like innovation awards that might be interesting for some tech companies, if there are any in this audience today. And you also have agriculture development agents company, and that support like early stage business. They usually have like a bigger ticket size. So for companies that are more matured, that might be interesting for you. And you also can go to the next page. So pretty much like very easy, very user-friendly page. As long as you choose the right keyword and stuff. And just to make sure each time when you want to do a new round of research, you have to you have to launch the page again, so that they can reset the filters. So that's pretty much about how it looks and how we can use it. And if we go back to the slides. So the platform itself is developed by a nonprofit organization under the same name, and has developed different funding opportunities, partner with MasterCard Foundation or like Sahel Consulting, among others. What we really liked about this platform is that it's specifically tailored to the needs of African agri-food sector, provided a targeted approach to funding opportunities. And it's free to use with very easy search and filter options, quite user-friendly. You can, of course, you can register on the platforms for other tools and resources that they offer. They covers quite wide range of funding options, including loans, equity, grants, catering to various business needs. Opportunities are updated quite regularly, so you can find some new opportunities coming up every few weeks if you are checking it frequently. And they also offer some training and other capacity building services. Some are provided by external service provider to help you grow your business. And they also have some programs that focus on gender, on female-led like business in their funding opportunities. And on the other hand, what we think it has some growth for improvement for African food change makers, that first, it has very limited details on the amount of funding available, which it means that the ticket size is not really visible from the platform, as you remember from the screen earlier. So it might require some further research by yourself. And although the French and Portuguese versions are available, they are realized via Google Translate. So sometimes you need to double check if the information are accurate before clicking on for application, for etc. And so that's pretty much about AFC. And moving on to the next platform we have prepared for you, Agribusiness Dealroom, which is developed by Agra. an African-led institution focused on scaling agriculture innovation that helps smallholder farmers towards increased income, better livelihood, and improved food security. I'm sure a lot of you, especially for those who are based in Africa, you're very familiar with the platform. It's with the organization itself. So let's go. Let's have a quick live demo on this platform. Click on Agribusiness Dealroom. They're actually calling for submission for SMEs, looking for investors. The application is due by June the 21st. So for those you have already prepared business plan and financial plan, if you would like to secure this, try to take the opportunity of this funding, don't hesitate to have a look at it. But again, this is not our focus today. So this is how the website looks when you land on their front page. And you have, like in the navigation bar, what is about, you have capital seekers, you also have capital providers. So this is where we click to get information about it. And when you click on it, it doesn't appear now, but it might appear on your screen to ask your information about your email and your full name to grant you the access of this page, since I've already go through the process for you, so it's not showing right now. So as you can see, this platform, you have a more than 100 number of capital providers that are listed here, and you have information about the name, about what type of capital provider they are, from foundation to PE to private equity or venture capital or impact investor. And you also have the ticket size, like roughly the range. And you have the region, or like if they have a country focus, from global, like here is more like specific countries in Africa. The platform itself, it's having a focus on Africa, but you might also find some global opportunities there because of this range. And you will also find the investment instrument offer. That means the equity or debt or convertible debt that can be seen as equity. But you have very limited information about grants on this platform. And so how does it work? So because here it's important to mention that the platform doesn't have a filter function. So all the information listed here are in the alphabetic order. That means it will be very hard to filter out like what's most relevant for you. However, I would still suggest you to use the search function on your computer in your browser. So if you use the shortcut on your keyboard, the Control+F, the letter F, that's where you can search for instance, I'm already insert in the tick size of 50K, and then you might find some relevant information. For instance, this opportunity from an investment company that has a 50K ticket size in US dollar that are offering in Nigeria in the type of in the format of debt. And you might be curious about like a bit more information about this funding provider. Then you click on View Investor Website. And as you can see here, how to reach us. If you have any questions, don't hesitate to reach out to the platform themselves if the question is relevant with the platform. And you have a very short description about platform. Let me zoom in a bit furthermore. Very short description about it, and the region or countries of focus, sector and agriculture value chain focus. And here you see this is a really focused on value addition, or we usually say like processed food. Investment criteria, this is not applicable, and so I would suggest you do further research on the platform, on the website of the funding provider, and the ticket size range, type of instrument, or preferred currency of investment. In this case, it's US dollar, but you will also find some other cases that it's open for discussion, that they might be willing to switch to like euro or like even local currency. And it's also possible to visit the investor's website. Although for sometimes from our test on this platform, this link does not necessarily work from time to time. So that could be potential area for improvement for this platform. So as what we mentioned for agribusiness, Africa Food Changemaker, AFC, we're also gonna cover a little bit like what's good about it and like what we think can be improved. Let's go back to the slides. From the demo, you can already clearly find out that the platform itself, it's quite powerful in terms of, it's also specifically designed for African agri-food sector, and it's free to use without any need to register. You might need to type in your information, but that will be it. And it has quite extensive network of investors, over 100 different funding providers, and also a wide variety of funding options, maybe limited options in terms of grants, but you will also compensate it in other platforms, which we will touch upon later. And they had quite detailed information about the funding types and amounts, and they also offer some additional resources regarding access to finance topic, which you can find out further on the website. And on the other hand, it doesn't really have any filter function, and investors are listed in the alphabetic order, as we mentioned, so it's quite difficult to find the right opportunity, most relevant opportunity for you. And you might need some further research to understand what exactly the founder is requiring, what exactly is about this funding project. And that's also linked to the next opportunity for improvement we have discovered, is that you can't really find the dates that this information is posted. So it's very hard to differentiate like which information are more up to date and which are like maybe a little bit outdated. And lastly, this platform is only available in English, but it wouldn't be a problem for our today's audience. But for those who might find some challenges like in navigating your funding search in English, it might be a little bit issue. So that's about Agribusiness Dealroom. And we still have 3 others waiting for you. And the third one we're going to cover is the MSME financing gateway. It is developed by multiple stakeholders, including the European Union and the International Trade Center, which has a lot of trainings in business management, as you might already heard. And the platform is quite valuable for SMEs based in Kenya, Uganda, Tanzania, Rwanda, and Burundi, seeking for funding. But today I'm going to take the example of the platform in Kenya for this live demo. Let's switch quickly to the website. All right, so this is how the front page looks like when you landed the MSME financing gateway. You will find a very short description about what it is, and you will already find financing options. And if you click it, that will lead us to the list of financial providers. But I would just like to quickly scroll down the page and show you on the left side, you have learn to navigate the financing gateway. Why it is interesting for you is that it's actually a short video to explain how this platform works and like different functions that they offer. Due to the time limitation, I will not click on this video and play it for you, but feel free to check it out. It's after this presentation. I personally found it very intuitive after watching it. And on the right side, you will also see like a list of things you can do through this platform, including shortlist and compare different financial options. and also like view and compare their business development services. So not only just access to finance or like funding opportunities, but also other type of services like that could support your business. So let's get back to what we were talking about, like finding the financial options. So I zoom in a little bit too much. This is perfect. All right. So this is the example. Again, this is the example of like the platform in Kenya. You can see here, you have the other 4 countries you can easily switch. In terms of language, you have it in English, in Swahili, and in French. But here we are going to stick with English for the most of the audience. And you have a total results of 175, which is very, I would say, just for one country, there's a very extensive result. And you will see in the filter, they have a filter bar where you can search by keyword. You can also see like the sectors it served, the type of financing, the kind of facility, and the amount, so the ticket size. And you can also choose how many results we would like to see on this one page. When I was testing, I found the show 50 is not really working, so let's be careful with that. And what's interesting about that is that you can also choose from different currencies. So now most of by default, it shows by Kenyan shilling, but you can also change to US dollar and euro just to have a better idea when comparing with other platforms showing the currencies in USD. You will also you can save the certain opportunities as your favorite, so you can look after and compare together. I have to mention that this not all of the functions in the filter it's possible to use completely for free. Some of them require some registration with local number in Kenya, but that would be very easy. That's very easy process as long as you have the information. And let's quickly look at the opportunity. This is provided by Gulf African Bank. You can click this link to go to their website. You can also email them for more further information, or call them, or fill in the contact form and get a call back if you're interested in this specific funding that has a maximum 3 million Kenya shilling, and you will also see the business eligibility by having active account, etc., and 6 months in operations, etc. So for this one specifically, because this is not Africa, this is not agriculture sector tailored, I would suggest you use the keyword search agriculture. When we click on search, we will see a total number of like 85 available opportunities. Still a lot of opportunities there, including impact investing and also like local banks, which is very interesting in our opinion. So once again, what we really like about this platform is that it's free to use with search and filter options, especially after the registration, making it accessible for all users. It has quite extensive network of local financial stakeholders, including commercial banks, has quite wide variety of funding options, and quite detailed information, even information about like business eligibility that we haven't seen from other platforms. Also, you can find the contact details about the financial provider, which is also not seen previously. It also provides you with the additional resources to help you navigate the platform, including the text and the video. What can be further improved? Of course, since we were talking about agri-food sector, maybe some more opportunities for this sector can be included. And also, we didn't mention it earlier, but the French and Swahili version has very limited translation. So a lot of information provided by the financial provider are not necessarily translated. So you might still do some translation if that's required from your side. So moving on to the fourth platform we're going to cover, which is ISF, the fund database. It's a very robust tool designed specifically for the agri-food sector with a global reach. That may be a good news for our audience connecting from other regions apart from Africa. And let's quickly have a quick live demo about this platform. This is how it looks when you click on that. When you land in the ISF front page, and if you look at the research, you will find the fund database. If you click on that, that will show you the page that you have it on the slides previously. And so in general, it has a very extensive list of, as you can see, 178 total entries, and covering from the year launched from 1988 to 2012. Of course, the ones more relevant would be in the ones like from, like, let's say at least 2020 and etc. And if you look at on the right side, you have select the column view, which you can choose which filter would you like to delete. For instance, if I click on ISF archetype, then I won't necessarily see the type of this financial provider, but let's put it back for now. And it's also possible to request a download, which once you click on that, there will be staff from ISF that will reach out to you and share the Excel version of this funding database, which you might find a few more opportunities. And in the filter bar, which is really easy to use and very nicely made, you will find not only the year, but also the type of instrument. If you can see different debt from debt, equity, grant, etc. You will also see if they will offer a technical assistance service, which might be interesting to facilitate your funding management and also in general access to finance. You will also see the region that they cover. For this, I remember we have received in the registration form a question from a company based in Haiti. They're looking for funding opportunities that based in Latin America and Caribbean. So I think this platform could be very useful for you, since you can click on Latin American and Caribbean, where like you can choose Latin America in general. You can also choose multiple, because that means that they have a global reach. So if I click OK, then you see, let's see how many we actually have. We have 87 entries from that. So I would say there are pretty much a lot of opportunities that are available. And you can also find the font size and the ticket size from very small ticket size. Here, this one is like 0.1 million, so 100K, and there were also some that even offer like smaller ticket size, let's say. So that's pretty much, again, that's very like intuitive, we're quite user-friendly, and feel free to take as much time as you need to explore it afterwards, after this webinar, because I understand this is a lot of information we're sharing right now, but I'm sure that eventually these will be very powerful tools for you to navigate in terms of your funding research. So let's go back to the slides. So what we find about the key strands about this is tailored to agri-food sector, and it has a global coverage, connecting users with funding options from all over the world. It's free to use, very accessible, and it has quite extensive investor network, a variety of funding options, and you have detailed information about the funding types, the ticket size, and availability of the TA. what can be further improved is it's that the platform's information on new funding project has not been updated since the end of 2023. And users need to, as we are using this platform, we need to conduct further research as there are no direct link to the funding provider's website. So what you can do is just copy paste the name or the funding project, and then you put it in Google or like other search engine that you use. And they also has a language limitation, which is only English. But again, I hope they will not create any problems for today. So far we've been talking about like different funding platforms that covering different various type of funding, grants, debt, equity, etc. But there's one platform that is specifically designed for grant search, which is Development Aid. And I've seen some companies in the registration reform that will specifically mention that they're only looking for grants. So that might be very interesting for you. And so let's again start with a quick live demo. So of course, Development Aid has a lot of other functions. For instance, looking for experts, like looking for available tenders, etc. But today we will only focus on grant search. So this is how it looks. You might find some irrelevant ads here, but let's look at the search, the filters. Very extensive search filter, you can see, from location, sector, status, which is very interesting. You might want to look for like open status so that you find the only relevant funding grants opportunities for you. Eligible nationalities. I remember the request we have seen is from Uganda, so we can put Uganda here. We also put open status, as I was mentioning. Sector, you can choose agriculture, and here location. I think you can also choose Uganda in this case. And then if you click on search, then you see the options turned from like 85,000 to like 8 results. That helps a lot with filtering the right information for you. And you have like CFC offering like financial support to SMEs, also like some USAIDF call for proposals for Uganda, and MasterCard Foundation. You see a lot of available grants opportunities out there, and they're all open until different dates, deadlines. And so let's take the CFC as an example here. As I click on it, you will see some limited information because some of the, for instance, the attachment function or like a full description function that requires a paid version, paid membership. But if I click, for instance, contracting authorities, this is the link to the website of the description of the funding provider, and where you can find the website and the contact details. So for instance, if I click on their website, then you will see what do they do. We have so you see that on their website, you can already find the information about the 25th call for proposals, the deadlines, and who are potentially eligible for this project. And potentially, if you want to know more, you click on read more. So I would say in general, this is also a very intuitive platform and offering grant opportunities. And if we go back to the summary slides about it, and it has global coverage for opportunities. It's free access, although a paid version, a premium version is available if you wish to have more and better understanding about the certain funding provider, and includes also information about tenders or partners who would like to set up a consortium, etc. and what can be further improved, which is also not necessarily like a limitation for this platform. For instance, that has only grant opportunity, but it's very specialized in grant search, and it requires some paid memberships, which can be a hurdle for our target audience SMEs. But I think with the free version, it already offers a lot of information for you to navigate the funding platform, funding opportunities that you need. And it also has certain language limitation in only English. But with all the translation available online, I'm also quite confident that this, eventually this is also the challenge we can overcome together. So this has been the 5 different platforms and a little live demo about each one of them, and a little short summary about each one of them as well. And just to have a quick wrapping up about what we have said, time is also very limited here. And after introducing each platform and summarizing their key strengths and areas that could be potentially improved, we also have proposed a few representative user case for each platform. For instance, if you're agribusiness SME owners in the African countries seeking accessible funding opportunities, but also training and support, then maybe African Food Changemaker can be an interesting website for you. And if you're English-speaking African agribusiness looking for information access to a wide network of investors, not necessarily linked to projects itself, but just like investors, I think Agribusiness Dealroom might be the best case for you. If you're one of the 5 countries from Kenya, Tanzania, Burundi, Rwanda, and Uganda, and MSMEs looking for like local investor connections, then this might be the best platform for you, the Financing Gateway. And if you are looking for global funding providers, then ASF might be your go-to platform, although some additional research on funding profiles is necessary. But it's further research, like feel free to take your time to do your research, and also to don't hesitate to use multiple platforms at the same time as well. And last but not least, if your company or organization seeking only grants, then DevelopMate is definitely the most powerful tool for you. And especially it also has offer tender information, etc. And what we have covered today is very limited, we have to admit. And so those shouldn't be blocking you from checking out the other platforms that might be available that could also be interesting. And we also suggest you use multiple platforms if you need it, and spending enough time on these platforms, but also on the website of the funding providers so that you can understand better what the funding requirements are. And don't hesitate to explore and click the links. Like you have the links here when you receive the slides. You can just click directly. You can also Google them, of course. And lastly, don't hesitate to contact those platforms if you have specific questions regarding any of them. So having wrapped up the 5 platforms, let's look back to the access to finance journey, the investment ready path, let's say. We have only covered a few platforms and database for funding opportunities here, and shared our interpretation for each platform's relevance. It's still very important to shortlist those opportunities that align with your project goals, research their backgrounds, and once you apply for it, you engage with them and like to create, also to follow up your application and make sure you comply with the requirements. And once you obtain the funding, it's also very important to have a budget plan, etc. And for those following steps, we will, of course, in the future, develop more materials as we please, and you have mentioned previously in your expectations. There are certain topics that will help you develop our materials in the future. And in the meantime, don't hesitate to also check out our e-learning platform, our YouTube channel, our Access to Finance webinar playlist, which you can find the hyperlink here when you receive the slides. Those are all very solid foundation before you actually apply for any funding. And we have developed trainings, webinars, which I will further explain in this slides. So as once again, co-lead, our goal is to help operators in the horticulture sector, and access to finance is only one of the many topics we provide support. And if you still have any confusion about the differences between funding types we have mentioned today, we suggest you checking out our previous webinar, Demystifying Access to Finance for Horti and Agri Project. If you want to improve business skills, you can take self-learning self-study courses online on the top introduction of business plan. They are free for everyone after registration. Most recently, we have already developed together with our experts the training in creating business plan. Feel free to follow up with follow our social media and our other channels to make sure that you're follow the information up to date. And now coming back to today's webinar, I hope it was helpful for you to start to navigate these platforms to find the right funding opportunities for you. We have one final Zoom poll for you so that you can share some feedback and see if today's webinar has fulfill your expectations. So I'm gonna launch it right now. And feel free to choose among the 3 different answers. And if you still have some questions, please specify in the chat or in the Q&A so that we can move into the Q&A session where my colleague Chris is going to moderate. And thanks a lot for most of the majority of people who are saying you learned everything you wanted to, and it's very appreciated. And we have seen more than 60% of people have already participated in this poll, which is also thanks a lot for the interaction and for engaging in this webinar.
Yes, and from the Q&A side, we receive a lot of questions regarding whether you will receive the slides or not. I can reassure everyone, we will share the slides as well as the full recording of this session by email within 1 week. So you will all be able to review the slides and the recording.
So I've closed the poll, and let's move on to the Q&A session, and I'll put the floors to the questions from the audience. And please, off you go.
So we have one question about which one of those platforms is most suited for public sector organizations. So at CoLeads, our focus in access to finance is directed at private sector associations at first. So I have to admit that we're not specialists there. Although from what I understand, I think development aids might be the most suited one. But I encourage you to do your research as well and to explore multiple platforms. So looking at other questions, are these funding platforms also available for non-profit agricultural organizations? Well, I think that links back to the previous answer. Not-for-profit associations are not the preferred targets of funding sources of funding in general, as you can imagine, because their daily business is to take a percentage in interest or to sell their investments for a return. So I would advise to check the development aid platform again, as they are more grant oriented. I see a question from Richards. There seems to be relatively few platforms that include Zimbabwe. Are there opportunities also available for research? So since we cover the whole ACP region, I don't have specific information for Zimbabwe. Of course, the macroeconomic context might be a bit more complicated in Zimbabwe. So I encourage you to look within the 5 platforms that we presented today, if there are some specific funds or banks focusing on Zimbabwe. I think there are some filters on geographic scope that you can apply there. Are these fundings available to SME consulting firms to support them in capacity building? This is a good question that we haven't been talking about a lot today. So it's the fact that throughout the journey, throughout the investment readiness journey, you can be helped from, of course, from advisors, from service providers, and generally they're more local. So I encourage you to check within your environment, within the local ecosystem, which one of those service providers might help you. But of course, it's always advised, as they can help you gain a lot of time and help you avoid some mistakes as well. And at the same time, we're trying to also support companies in their investment readiness journey with first off-the-shelf learning materials. So I've put multiple times in the chat some links towards the materials that we've provided. Waiting has also presented high level the different webinars and courses that we have been developing. We will be developing more. So in a nutshell, what we've done is first a webinar on demystifying access to finance for agribusinesses. I really encourage everyone in the audience to go check this webinar, as it provides a very good overview of what is needed to access funding when you're an agribusiness. So it's really insist on the essentials that you need, and namely being prepared, having formalized your plan, and having a very clear objective as well. So in a nutshell, this webinar on demystifying access to finance. Also, we have a self-paced training that is freely accessible to everyone on CoLead's training platform. It's called Introduction to Business Plans for Agribusinesses. It takes more or less half a day, between half a day and 1 day to complete, and it provides you with the basic understanding and theoretical backgrounds to understand how to build your own business plan, which is the first step towards accessing funding. We're working on a collective training that's been released a few weeks ago. That's the step 2. So after introduction to business plan, there is a collective training on business plan, and this is upon application. So I invite you to apply for support on our main website. Companies that will be selected for support will be invited to take part in this training. Also not released yet, we're still developing it, is a training on financial plans. We know that there is a lot of demand for this. So we also intend to issue one training, both one self-study training and one collective training on this topic. And then you can also expect more webinars on how to choose the most relevant source of funding for your needs. So this is, in a nutshell, the strategy of CoLead to help our partner beneficiaries, and we hope you'll find it useful. I'm looking at 2-3 more questions, and then we will close this webinar. So can you give a brief overview as to what are the components of a proposal that would be successful? We need a business plan, but what else will make us stand out? Well, again, I'm referring back to the demystifying access to finance for agribusinesses, as we do provide an extensive list of what is expected, because of course it depends very much on your specific situation. So are you a for-profit or not for-profit business? In what sector are you? Are you in processing or fresh fruits and vegetables? Are you looking for grant? Are you looking for equity? Are you looking for debt? So this will impact the amount of documents and preparation you need to do to stand out. So I really invite you to check those resources. We will again share the links, but you can also check in the chat. I'm looking at other questions there. When can we receive the search platform for access to finance? Well, we will provide the links towards the 5 platforms that we presented today. And you will also be able to see the links to the platforms that we haven't been presenting today. So today was a short listing of the platforms that are out there. There are others. We've just selected the ones that seemed most relevant for our audience. And we hope that should be sufficient as well. Please share the link for the introduction to business plan. We will indeed share it and you will receive it by email. But if you go up the chat today, you will be able to see it as well.
We have some participant raised their hand.
Okay. Okay, well, I think we're good to go with the question. I still see one question in the chat there. Is the focus only on the horticulture industry? Well, colleagues' focus historically is on horticulture, although now we are expanding towards the whole agriculture. So we're trying to focus on platforms that do consider those sectors. Of course, agriculture and horticulture in general are harder to finance from traditional sources of funding because agriculture and horticulture are more risky. So this is something to take into consideration. And this is also an invitation to make your business plans and financial plan as robust as possible, because compared to other sectors, agriculture and horticulture are seen as very risky by sources of funding. I see a question from Renier. Can you deal in next sessions regarding funds grants, more specifically for Caribbean regions, including Suriname? Renier will try to address this. Of course, the volume of people in the audience is more located in Africa, but we'll do our best to also address your needs.
And in the meantime, don't hesitate to check ASF Fund database, where they have compiled different funding opportunities that are covering the Caribbean region, which can be helpful for your search.
Yes, I'm also reading a final question from Kidus Marcus. Can you let us know how to approach the funders accordingly? This is something foreseen, so to provide a methodological framework for you to be able to know how to approach those sources of funding, as well as how to cope with the relatively demanding process of being in a due diligence with one of those sources of funding. So this is something that's foreseen for the future. We're happy that we raised your interest there. We hope it was useful for you. Thank you, Waiting, for doing this wonderful presentation. Thank you to you, the audience, for participating so actively. It's really a pleasure to see that this is useful. And we're very much looking forward to see you in our next webinar or in our next courses. Thank you.